Welcome back to my series of building your first Power App. I'm Colby, and we're going to be beginning on our part 4 of this series. So the last part we built out our cart, our info page, as well as our favorites. So now what you can do is you can add an item to favorites, you can click on that item, and it'll take you to the info page of the item. And you can go into your favorites here as well as the cart. And so we can actually update our items in cart, we can remove them. So in this session, we're actually going to be building out our order page. So when you're in your cart and you hit order, it'll take you to your order page. Right now that page is blank, but we need to build that out. So the first thing we want to do on our order page is we want to add in this top kind of menu, if you will. So I'm going to go ahead and copy one of them. It doesn't matter which one from which page, they're all the same, and paste it in here. All right, so that's pasted. Next thing I want to do is add in the gallery. And so this gallery is actually going to show everything that was in our cart, okay? So it's just a vertical gallery. All right. And so in this gallery, we're going to have as I said, all the items that are in cart, but it's not going to allow you to remove the item. Okay, it's just going to add just a list essentially of all your different items. So the first thing we're going to do is I am going to remove those. I'm going to keep this guy. I'm just going to change the size of these. I want to make it a little smaller, so we've got a lot of items, they fit in there quite easily. And then we don't need this chevron, so I'm going to remove that. And so this is going to get connected up to our cart list. And that's fit, so that's good. And then we're going to add some labels in here. Oops, label. Drag label in there. And so the first label will be name. And I'm going to change the size of this so it fits in a little better. And so you can actually use the arrows on your keyboard if you want to just move items just little small increments. I'm going to copy this and paste and insert this at the bottom here, and I'm going to make that my brand. Okay, and then maybe let's make this guy a little bigger and make it semi-bold. The last item I want to add in here is my amount of items that I have. So I'm going to get this item dot amount. Okay, so there are 7, and I'm just going to justify it to the right. All right. One thing I want to add to this is I want to make it so that there's a kind of a multiplication symbol. So I'm going to concatenate this, and I'm going to, whoops, actually wrong area. So I'm in the align property. I should be clicking on the text property. Okay, so I'm going to concatenate this text, and I'm going to add just an X. That way it just says kind of like 7 times. That's how many items you have. And I'm going to make this bigger, and I'm going to bold it, semi-bold it, just so it stands out better. And then this divider, the separator, I'm going to change the color of it to this blue that we've been using around our website. Our app, sorry. Okay, next thing I want to do is I want to add some fields. So before I add a field, I'm going to add this rectangle, and this rectangle is going to kind of encapsulate our different fields. And the fields that we're going to be adding into this are essentially a form. We're going to create ourselves a form that the person can fill out. Okay, so in the form, we are going to drag in some text inputs. And so these are just going to be areas where the user can go and enter various different types of information. So the first types of text that I want, so I'm just going to remove this default text because I don't want to have that in there, but I do want to have some hint text. So I'm going to have my first name, and I'm going to put in brackets required just so it kind of highlights to the user that this is a required field. Okay. And because I'm lazy, I'm going to Control-C this and paste it. And I will obviously rename these, but just to kind of save time. All right, so this guy, I'm going to make that my last name. This could be the address. So just think of like different types of items that you would need to ship the product to the user. Probably need the city, right? I need the province/state, depending on who's ordering the item. And then we want the country. And finally, we want our postal code. And so in this case, I'm going to allow the user to enter the country, but another option is you could create a country drop-down list with various countries. And so if that's something you'd like to do, you could get like an Excel spreadsheet of all the countries in the world and import that in a drop-down list, and yeah, be a pretty smart way of doing it. You could even make it really fancy and maybe detect from postal code what country they're in. Oops, I said postal order. I meant postal code. All right, and then the last thing I want to do is I just want to sort of make these a little closer so they don't look. Alignment might be slightly off there, but looks okay right now. I'm going to add a label in here, and what the label is going to do, this is going to give me my total. So my total amount. So to do that, what we do is I'm going to, in here, I'm going to create a concatenate, and in there I'm going to say total space. And then I'm going to concatenate this text, which is the sum of my cart list. And basically what I'm doing is I'm getting my price in my cart list, so all the items in the price, and I'm multiplying that by the amount of items. Okay. And I also want it to look like the dollar amount, right? Have that dollar amount in front of it. Close brackets, boom. And you'll already see there's a amount in there because I've got this item. So, and one thing I just remembered is I should have my amount for my product, right? So let's just drag that in, add that here. That is this item dot price. And let's add a dollar amount in front of it. And let's change the size. Let's see, we had 18 here, so let's do 18 as well. 18, okay. And I'm not going to bold it. I'm just going to leave it unbolded like that. All right. Maybe we want to make this a little bigger. It's looking a little small. I'm squinting here, so let's change that. Okay, and let's go back to our title, and I want to increase the size of that. Let's make that pretty big so it's pretty apparent to the user that this is how much you're paying. And let's bold it, and also let's change the color to white. So I'm going to change the color of this guy, this rectangle, to this blue that I've been using. And last thing I want to do is add a button. And what the button is, it's the order button. So the user then fills in their information and then they click order. And we change the text of that to order. All right, it's really pretty good. One thing I want to do while we're at it, always save. It doesn't auto save, so be aware of that. If you don't save and you close a tab by accident, or your computer crashes or something happens, you lose all your work, so that's just not fun. And you can use Control S to save. It's not saving right now because I've already saved, and you'll notice it says up here saved, but in brackets it says my work is currently unpublished, so meaning the end user can't see my changes. All right, so what I want to do is when that person clicks order, I want to check that all these fields are filled in. So to do that, on select, I basically have an if statement, and I'm checking that is blank. So is not is blank, meaning it has an item in it. I'm going to check all these fields. Now, to make my life easier, I'm going to, before I do that, I'm going to rename all these fields, just so it makes it easier to reference them. So I'm going to call this first name field. Last name field. That's a little tedious, but it just makes it easier when you're referencing it in the code. Else, like trying to know what input 1_6 is can be confusing for me anyway. All right, we'll call this province state field. And what's nice is as you select these, you'll notice they're being selected here. So that's how I know which fields are being selected. It certainly makes it easier there. And then the last one is postal code field. Right, so we're looking good. So let's go back to our order button, expand this. So is blank, I want to check if the first name field that I just renamed, to see if that's blank. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. Yeah, I'm going to copy this because I'm going to use this a few times. And then ampersand is how you use the and in an if. And I'm going to do another one here, and this is checking the last name field. And I'm just going to copy this a number of times. So address field, my city field, my province state field. I want to check the country field. You'll notice, see how they're all being selected in these like colors? Just kind of gives you an idea if those items are actually being referenced in code. And I added too many, so I'm going to delete this last one. All right, so if all those items are in there, comma, I'm going to navigate to my success page, which I haven't created yet, so I need to create that first. So let's just go ahead and create that. So I'm going to do a new screen, and you'll notice there's this success screen. So I'm going to use this as a pre-built screen, and all it is just shows you a check mark with this was successfully. So we're going to change some stuff in here, but pretty much keep it the same. So order success. Okay, so now I can go back to my order page, click on order, expand it again, order success, right there. Okay, so it's going to navigate there. Also, what I want it to do is I want it to clear the collection that we had. So essentially the idea is, the flow is, when a person goes and makes an order, their cart needs to be cleared, because you want to actually clear the cart. You don't want them to still have items in the cart. And then you also want to clear the item in your order info. Oh, sorry, you want to add the item to the order info. So the reason I want to do that is I want to capture all those fields that they've entered data in to be able to use them later down the line. So I'm going to use this clear collect, and I'm going to call this order info, this collection order info. And in order info, I want to store all these fields that we've entered. Okay, so first name was one of them, right? So it was called the first name field, dot, and we want the text in there, comma, last name. That was the last name field. And then we had our address. And we had our city. Oops. And we had, what else we have? We got province slash, let's do province state. Don't want to put the slash in there. So province state field, comma. Remember to hit, I just made the mistake, but remember to hit shift return or shift enter to go to the next line. And then we want our country field. And the last one is our postal code. Postal code field. All right, so that captures all those items in there. So I can close that and then close that as well. And then what I'm going to do is just trying to see here why it's complaining. What did I do wrong? Oh, sorry. I didn't add the .text property of each of these. That was definitely one thing I did wrong. The function clear collect has some invalid arguments. So, interesting. What did I do wrong here? I did add commas after everything. I closed it. Ah, no. No, it looks good. So I noticed why it's complaining. It's because my if statement's still not closed, so that's fine. We're still continuing with our if statement. And then what I want to do is I want to clear the cart list. Okay, so that those errors will go away and should go away in a bit. So what I want to do is comma, and then so basically what I'm saying is in this if statement is if any of these are not blank. So that means if they all have that data added into them, then we're going to navigate to order success. I'm going to add all the data in here to my collection, and then I'm going to clear my cart list. So that's good. Otherwise, what I want to do is I want to have update my context to show my required message. Set that to true. Okay. Why I'm doing this is I'm actually going to have a message in here that pops up that says what you've entered is required, and so you need to enter that in there just to kind of highlight to the user. So the required text, I'm going to add that. I'm going to add that at the bottom here, just to, so I'm going to add a label, and I'm going to make this red just so it really pops out. Maybe let's make it bold as well, so it makes it really stand out. And I'm going to say for the text, which I can actually enter here, I'm going to say, please fill in all required fields. Okay, but we only want to show that if the message is true, right? So visible, we only want to do that if that show required message is true. Okay. So way to quickly check that out. Maybe I fill some things in. I say order, boom, pops up. If I go ahead and enter all this data, goes away. Turn my order complete. Okay, so we're looking pretty good. One more thing that I would like to do. So I think actually, no, I think we're done. We're good for the order page. I think I'm happy with this. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to reset each of these fields. So to do that, I'm going to add another item in here and update context, and I'm going to call this reset fields. Let's call it reset user fields, so it's obvious what we're doing. I'm going to set that to true. And so that'll reset it. But what I do want to do is initially on view, I want that to be set to false. So I'm going to set that to false here. And what I also want to have is that this show required message should also be set to false on visible. Okay, perfect. So for each of these, I need to actually take that field, reset user fields, and set that to each of their reset properties. A little cumbersome, but okay, so we're looking good. One thing I want to do, my order success, I'm going to leave this as is, and you can pretty it up and make it look a little better, but the one thing, there's actually two things I want to do. I want to add the menu bar in here so that they can go out of here. Okay. maybe let's add a button as well for them to kind of acknowledge. They could do it. We could also have an acknowledge button. So they can either go like home like that, or just have an OK. And if they click on this, it just navigates them home. And then let's say, hey. Actually, let's not do hey. Let's create a concatenate. And let's concatenate hey space. And let's get the first item in the order info collection that we created. And let's get the first name of the individual. So we're going hey, sorry, I forgot to put a comma here. Hey, and then space, their name, comma, your order was successfully submitted. I don't know, something along those lines. Close that, boom, and that looks good. So if you go ahead and order something, let's preview. So we go in here, we select 5 items, add to cart, go to our cart, and we say order. We type all our information in. We hit order. It says, hey, weird name. Your order is okay. Now if I go back to cart again, you'll notice my cart is empty, for 1. For 2, if I also say I add another thing to cart, to go back to my cart, and I order again, these items are still visible, which is interesting. User fields. Ah! I set reset user fields on select. That was my bad. So I made a mistake there. That should be in my reset. So to go ahead and change that. And one more here. Oops. And we're going to do it to the reset field. And this one, delete that and add it to the reset field. Okay, so hopefully now that should be good. So I'm just going to save this. Control S, shortcut to save. Okay, so I've got my order success page, I've got my order. Last thing I want to do is I want to add that little notification up top. The notification is basically going to highlight if there's any items in the cart. Okay, so to do that, I am going to create a let's add a text label. One thing I want to add, and the text label is going to sum up the items in the cart. So to do that, you just say sum and cart list, and we want the amount. So in my cart right now I have 7 items, so that's good, that's working. And then the next thing I want to do is I want to add a circle. Add a circle in here, and I'm going to, if you hold shift, it keeps the aspect ratio. I'm going to make the circle red. Okay, and so let's make it a little smaller. we're just going to add it right up top here by the cart. And I'm going to take this guy as well. And so clearly I need to make that smaller, the text size smaller. So let's see, 10. Just going to bring this guy to the front, just so it's in front of the, I'm going to center it. Huh. It's let's make it 9. Okay, so that kind of looks okay. Let's make it bold and let's make the font white. You know what? I'm gonna make it 10 just so it stands out a little more. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that label and circle, and I'm going to create a group. I'm going to call this group notification. And one thing I just want to change about this group is I want to change the visible. So I want to make it is visible when the cart is not empty. So is empty, right? Cart list. And I want to do the opposite of that. So I just put a, like that. So right now it is not empty, but if I were to, actually, before I show you how it works, I'm just going to copy this whole thing. Copy. I'm going to paste it on all my pages. So paste for my home page, paste in my cart page, paste in my info page, favorites page, because we want to have this carry on, right? Like carry over to all the pages. It's in my orders page and order success page. Okay. So if I go now, click on my cart, and I close it, might go, sorry, remove everything from cart, see it'll disappear. So that's perfect. All right, so that pretty much finishes our app. What we've been able to do is we've been able to take a Excel spreadsheet, a list of different items, in our case items that people can buy and purchase, and add them to a collection. We then created a way of filtering those items in that gallery from that collection. We created a favorites list where you can go ahead and add your favorites. We created this info page as well as referencing different reviews for the info page. We added the ability to add to cart, as well as with this little, added this little notification to go over the cart. In the cart, we added the ability to update our items from a drop down. You can also clear a cart. And then finally, we added the ability to add items to and order your items. And right now it's showing these items because I haven't clicked ordered the first time to actually clear this. But if I hit order now, it should actually clear it. So, and then once you've done that, we also added a success page that is able to look at and say, actually know who ordered the item. And so then that clears my cart for me. So hopefully you really enjoyed this 4-part series, and I hope to do a few more like on different items. I think for PowerApps I'll start focusing more on in-depth items in PowerApps, but this is a great way of kind of making you familiar with PowerApps and how the interface works and all the different cool things that you can do and how quickly you can build an app. powerful app in PowerApps for your users. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for joining in on this 4-part series. I hope you learned something. And yeah, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks so much. Bye for now.